and this is our last discussion item on our calendar today. I would like to call up the Hope Team to give a report on the efforts being made to assist our homeless population during the holidays. The Hope Team has been out there reaching out to the homeless throughout San Bernardino County, and it's an arm of the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. The role will be staff presentation, board discussion, any public comments on this item only, and return to the board for further discussion at that time. Go ahead with the presentation. Sergeant Yost.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors, CEO, Sheriff. Appreciate you having us here today. We wanted to introduce our team. Everybody knows Corporal Reggie Pahia.
Captain, all right, look at that.
Deputy Michael Jones and Deputy Aaron Holloway.
And this you have somebody else standing next to Jones?
I hope everybody here knows who Under Sheriff Joe Cusmano is. Yeah. So thank you for having us. Talk a little bit about our team. 3 years ago, this team came together with the approval of the sheriff and the board. They've worked on this program to meet people, to go out into the community and find homeless that need assistance. They've developed a lot of programs and worked with a lot of people. The special team that we have is building relationships with service providers, religious groups, people throughout the community that can actually help us. We've transitioned from working patrol, getting out there, making the connections, and putting everybody together. So I have Reggie Pahia here. He's going to share a few thoughts with you about what they've been accomplishing. So, Reggie.
Thank you. A brief PowerPoint followed by if there's any questions and answers. As we know, homelessness is not an easy black and white issue in the county and the world, actually. It's a very complex social issue that we have to address. The team represents a paradigm shift in law enforcement, from transitioning from handcuffs to a handshake or sometimes even a hug. So when we started the program back in January 2014, there was 3 of us to cover 20,000 square miles. That is our county. A daunting task, to say the least. But I think that we've done a commendable job doing outreach, networking, bringing people together, and really trying to make that shift for law enforcement from an enforcement phase, entirely enforcement, to outreach and social work. There would be some of my brethren that would argue that we don't do social work. I would strongly disagree with that. We do a great amount of social work, and so this team actually represents this. We have an estimated 119,000 people in 2016 in California, making us #1 in the nation for homelessness, unfortunately. That is not a distinction, I think, as a native Californian we should have. We have to work better with our population and with the existing systems to make a difference in that. There's 1,887 homeless in San Bernardino County alone. 40% of that population is in the city of San Bernardino, 20% in the city of Victorville. So what we've done is we've reached out to our programs within the county, everybody from, of course, our county coworkers to our faith-based organizations to new 501c3s and our county contracts. The Department of Behavioral Health has been a huge help. As we know, there are high instances of mental health issues among those that are homeless. Who amongst us would not have some sort of anxiety or depression being out on the street, chronically homeless for over a year? We work with alcohol drug services. Matter of fact, we now have a alcohol drug service counselor who can do field triage, if you will, with us when we encounter a homeless person who has alcohol drug problems and is wishing to seek treatment. Or maybe they're thinking about it. We can provide those resources there on the spot. As you know, last year we went and we set a goal of ending or creating a virtual zero of veteran homelessness in the county, which we achieved 2 months prior to our goal set deadline. We're still working with the VA and our VA affiliates to continue to contact people who fall out of services or new ones who fall into homelessness. As we know, some people are just a couple of paychecks away from being on the streets. Our veterans are very important to our county, to us, my father being a Vietnam veteran himself, to make that outreach and make those connections for those people who don't know how to navigate those waters. Well, as we all know, bureaucracy can be a little daunting at times. We want to cut through that red tape, get them into homes, transitional housing, bridge housing, and get them off the streets as soon as possible. A new group that is new to the county is called Step Up, doing amazing work. They've actually housed their first 2 clients in less than a month. They asked us to give the for lack of a better word, worst of the worst, people who we couldn't reach, and they took it wholeheartedly and are headed headlong into what we need to do and make the change in the county. Public health is working with us. Again, our faith-based organizations, our service providers, over 350 in the county. We're seeing them move from out of their silos into working more network and collaboratively. DMV and Social Security have been huge helps. Actually, when we go to get somebody into service, they can't obtain those services without the proper documentation. Those Social Security cards, their California ID cards. California DMV has actually given us waivers for somebody who couldn't afford that fee or have a reduced fee to get their ID to get them into workplace programs and into shelters. Coordinated entry, that's going to be, I think, one of our biggest tasks. As you know, that's a HUD mandate. So while we have to work through law enforcement through 2-in-1 to get people what's called a VI SPDAT. It's a long acronym, but basically it runs down to how vulnerable they are on the streets, what they're suffering from, how long they've been homeless, what kind of issues they are dealing with. And especially our nonprofit groups. For those of you, Supervisor Lovingood, the Victor Valley Rescue Mission does an amazing job up in the high desert. Our Central City Men's Lutheran down here, people that really on a very shoestring budget make some really good things happen and always keep a bed open for the Hope Team. A little bit of statistics to break it down for you. We've had 2,601 homeless contacts, 15% of that are chronic. We've assisted over 1,500 people, referred over 900 people, housed 690 in that short time we've been doing it. Of course, we are a law enforcement entity. We do unfortunately have to make arrests from time to time. We've had violent crime occur in front of us, somebody that has a no bail warrant that needs to see a judge. But we don't just arrest them and drop them off at the jail. We offer them a service. We put our information into their property packet and say, hey, listen, while you're there, why don't you avail yourself to some services? We're actually working with the jail systems now to try to implement this into the jail. So somebody, when they walk out the door, I think LA County calls it the golden hour. How am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? Where am I going to get services? If we can grab that person and capture them within that golden hour, we have a very good success rate of not having them reoffend and go back into the system. Unfortunately, that last number, the 200-plus families, is on the rise. Just this week, we've helped over 3 families alone, some with some very young children. Deputy Jones and Sergeant Yost actually last week assisted a family that was living in a stairwell with a 10-month-old in this weather. I agree, we all can say we can all agree that that's an emergent situation, and those people need help now, not a couple days from now when, unfortunately, some people have to wait in line, but immediately. And we do view those families as an emergency situation, and unfortunately, we work with some great groups that get us some vouchers and get these people into a hotel, and the very next day, there's somebody at the door saying, okay, what do you want to do? How can we work with you? There's some pictures of some of the work we've done around the county. Honestly, the first 6 months to a year was a lot of branding. There was not a great relationship with law enforcement with the homeless. We've done some great trust buildings. People that we've never made contact with before have actually said, hey, I've heard about the Hope Team. Is that you guys? Absolutely, and that's what we want to do. We've actually gone to other counties and showed them what we're doing. And when we started the program in 2014, there were, I think, 14 programs nationwide that were doing this type of work. There's well over 70 now. So we all know it's not only the humanitarian thing to do, it's fiscally responsible, and it's just the right thing to do. Our next big project is our community education about panhandling. Well, we can say personally from our panhandling context within the county, 63% of our panhandlers that we have had contact with are in fact not homeless. The majority of the homeless that we talk to, or the panhandlers we talk to, say they're panhandling not for food. There are plenty of food banks and places where people can get food and clothing, but it's to feed a drug or alcohol addiction. So we want people to learn to give responsibly. Don't just be handing out dollars, give them information. We have some really new wristbands. We'll have a picture of it here. I think Chairman Ramos may have got a hold of one. Our sheriff and undersheriff are wearing them. Yep. And it's our toll-free number, which is on the sign that goes straight to our office to try to get somebody some help. We want to inform the business owners in the community about how to give responsibility and what their financial contribution might be actually making the situation worse. So we call it positive change, not spare change. We have literature that we've already printed available from the Hope Team. If a business or a community wants the signs, we'll be glad to supply them for them. We have a great supply of those. And it's also been adopted by the city of San Bernardino and the city of Redlands. So you might see those signs. It's a very similar image all across the county. And there's our Hope wristband. Like I said, it's a toll-free number that they can call, and they actually glow in the dark.
Oh, right, yeah.
So this is our contact information. You see the number below, and our email, which is really the best way to get hold of us. That goes to the entire team, including our supervisor. Anytime. We get emails. We work through the week, but also I think Deputy Jones, I think he works on this constantly. I get emails sometimes 2 in the morning. He goes, I know you're up here. This isn't another situation, but we all know homelessness is not 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. It's a 24/7 kind of issue, and we're working to address it the best we can. And with the support of the board as we've had, I think we're going to make a bigger impact.
The team does an excellent job of addressing these issues 24/7. As Reggie was talking about earlier, 9 o'clock at night, we get phone calls, and these gentlemen love their job and respond out to those situations. What's the future of hope? We definitely need help from the community. Everybody knows that the problem is growing, and we want to work with as many providers as we can to get these people plugged in. That and education of our deputy sheriffs to let them know that hope is a resource. And hopefully one day we'll be able to expand and add additional teams. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any comments, questions from board members? Supervisor Hagman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, thank you. Thank you, the sheriff, to establish the program, and thank you for all the outreach. Just curious, are you working with other municipalities within the county that have their own departments? Is that your process being duplicated by them? Are you covering those areas? Those type of
Absolutely.
things?
We've met with Barstow Police Department. We've sat down with Redlands Police Department and Upland Police Department. There are different municipalities throughout the county that have their own groups, and they are growing, and they've leaned on us and looked at our program.
Excellent, excellent. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Levingood?
Well, I don't think I need a mic. Can't find it anyway, but no, I have to thank you and your team because due to our location in the office, we see you on a frequent basis. We know the areas that you've worked very hard with, and I got to tell you, it's a tremendous outreach, and it's a good effort and paying positive dividends for the community. And I still know there's opportunities in front of us, but it's a good program. We thank you for your effort because we know you're out there. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Supervisor Rutherford?
Your entire team, absolutely fabulous. I so enjoyed some of the time that I've spent out with you all, with your members, and seeing the unique relationships you're developing with folks in the community and how you work with where they are to get them to where they need to get to be productive and safe and healthy for themselves. And the patience you show and the compassion and the knowledge that you have gained and that you share about all of the different services that are already available for these folks is really, really inspiring. Thank you for the good work that you're doing. Thank you for the heart that you put into this job. Thank you for the sacrifices you make to do it. And thank you for all the great ideas that I know are going to come in the next year and in the future, because you just keep getting better and better at this and coming up with even better ways to serve. So thank you very, very much for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Rutherford. And thank you for the presentation. I know there's several of us that have gone on ride-alongs with you when you're out there and engaging with the homeless and giving the resources that are there. And it really does take a special kind of deputy to get engaged in this type of activity with a passion in their heart and the desire to see really get the resources out to those individuals. So much so that sometimes it goes into after hours where you're actually transporting somebody up into the high desert to a shelter up in those areas, or just sitting there talking with them, letting them know those resources are there. It truly is a different way of policing with the HOPE team, as far as really putting yourself out there to talk to people. Not so much of coming in and having everybody, in different areas, standing here, standing there. You're really coming in and putting yourself in a situation that could make yourself vulnerable to certain things. But it's that passion and that desire to know that if you get those resources to certain individuals, that they will take them and they'll start to get their lives back on track. I think I would encourage, if the supervisors haven't gone on a ride-along, to see that type of policing that's there. Certainly, working with the sheriff and working together as a team here in San Bernardino County, we've been able to bring some resolve to the homeless situation in that area, and working together and utilizing the different resources the county has. The HOPE team and what you're doing here has spread throughout the nation. We were actually up in Washington, D.C., where you were part of a meeting and letting the rest of the United States know how this type of policing is starting to change the atmosphere of certain communities and being able to engage in these things. Because it's true, homelessness is going to be here, and it's not a crime to be homeless, but let's get the resources out there to the individuals that are there. And I think by having this program there and Sheriff McMahon really supporting this program, starts to be more proactive in addressing the homeless situation in general. So again, we want to congratulate you on this job that you're doing. We look forward to continuing to support you and the sheriff and the ideas that come up and making our community a better place for each and every one of us. So at this time, I would ask my board members to meet us in the well so we could give you a resolution that we feel is deserving. Let's not forget those wristbands that are glow in the dark. Where are they at? Let me grab the list. All right, who's going to receive the resolution? It really is. Let's give him a round of applause for doing this. And thank you, Sheriff. Whereas the Hope Team has successfully housed over 600 of the county's homeless population through their relationship and connections with service providers. Each homeless individual is assessed to see which resource would be best suited for their needs. Once each homeless individual is connected to the service that best fits their situation, case management is also provided by the service provider in order to help the individual succeed and be a confident member of society again. And whereas the Hope Team has built a very successful resume throughout the region and has even presented the Hope model and mission at several conferences throughout the nation. Let's give them a round of applause again. The Hope Team has participated in the National Alliance to End Homelessness annual conference twice and has even met with several members of Congress and state senators to speak on behalf of the homeless in San Bernardino County. Through their collaboration, the Hope Team has been very successful in assisting numerous people back into mainstream society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of San Bernardino, State of California, does hereby recognize the Hope Team for their outstanding work with their vulnerable homeless population. Congratulations on behalf of the Board of Supervisors.